Hello, my beautiful loves of the world. It is me, Queen Nightmare, and someone just texted me, and they were like, I said I was gonna record a video, and they're like, oh, what? And I'm like, oh boy, okay. So anyways, it's hard to describe what I do. I read stories. They'll be like, of what? And I'm just like, if you're asking me of what again, I will punch you. Okay, anyways. I'm sorry, I didn't introduce it. This is a Blaise x Ron story. These Gay Boys by I'm Sorry Boys. Weird title, and okay. Let's just get into it. Damn it, Ron mumbled under his breath. He dropped back down onto his flat feet, and stared up at the book just out of his reach. I'm 6 fucking feet tall, and I can't reach a book, he thought miserably. He groaned and went back up onto his tippy toes. His fingers were grazing the bottom of the book. Suddenly, Ron felt a body press up against him. Ron inhaled and was met by a pleasant combination of mint pine needles with a warmth underneath like that of a fresh baked sugar cookie. The body stepped back, and Ron turned around to see Blaise Zabini. I can't do names, smirking as he leafed through the book. You know, Blaise started, raising his eyes from the book. You could have used a Wingardium Leviosa to get that right. Ron crossed his arms at him. Well, you could have. You could have too. Blaise smirked again. But then I wouldn't be able to show off my height. Ron sighed and looked up at Blaise. The boy had grown over the summer and now stood over Ron at the height of 6'3". You're not that much taller than me. Blaise You're not that much taller than me. Blaise raised his eyebrows at Ron and held up the book. So, should I just put this back then, or... just give it, said Ron, snatching the book from Blaise's grasp. Touchy, weasel, Blaise said, before swinging his bag over his shoulder and walking off. Ron looked at the back of the retreating boy, then back at the book in his hand. Maybe Zabini isn't so bad. He did still call me weasel. Blaise had just exited the library when Pansy approached him. Hey, Blaise, I was looking for you. Well, you found me, Blaise said, walking past her. She had to jog to keep up with his long legs as he slowed down a bit. What do you need, Pansy? Blaise asked, looking down at the shorter girl. She stopped walking, looking around nervously. I think Hermione likes me. I don't think Hermione likes me, at all. Blaise sighed and shook his head. And why is that, Pans? Well, I tried talking to her today, and she just gave me a disgusted look and told me to leave her alone before walking off, Pansy whined. Well, what did you say to her? I simply asked what she was reading. Blaise sighed again. And how did you ask her that? Pansy stomped her foot and crossed her arms. I'm not I'm not the problem here, B. It's that stupid Granger who thinks she's too good for me. Well, I'll show her, Pansy said, before marching off down the hall. I should probably stop her, Blaise thought, before walking off to the other side. Time skip for in a few days because I am lazy as hell. Same. Ron had been sitting at the table in the library for the past hour, looking at the first paragraph of his essay. It was for potions and due the next day, but Ron has always sucked at writing. Could this day get fucking worse? Language, Weasel, Blaise said, sitting down across from him. Dear Merlin, that was a rhetorical question, Ron said to the ceiling. Blaise just laughed. I'm sure you'll find I can be quite the blessing at times, Weasel. Ron sighed. I surely doubt that. Blaise cocked his eyebrow and held out his hand. Ron looked at it questioningly. Blaise sighed. Your essay, Blaise said impatiently. Ron looked embarrassed as he handed over his paper. Blaise looked mildly amused as he read it. This is all you have? He asked, placing the paper back on the table. Ron's face turned even more of a bright red. Yeah, Blaise sighed. Very well, then, Blaise said, bringing his eyes up to meet Ron's. I shall help you. My savior, Ron said with a sarcasm. Okay, fine. I won't help you. No. I'm sorry. Please do. Blaise chuckled and took out his inkwell and a spare piece of paper. He rummaged in his bag some more, but came up empty-handed. Shit, I forgot my quill. Language, Zabini, Ron said with a smirk playing at his lips. Blaise shot him a look. Here, you can use mine. Ron handed Blaise his quill. When his fingers brushed Blaise's, he felt a spark and shocked his hand back. Blaise gave him a weird look. Don't do that, Zabini. I can't even say his name. Zabini, sorry. I call him Zabinini. That's cute. I like calling him Zabinini. It's kind of cute nickname. Blaise continued to look at Ron like he was a complex puzzle for a few more moments before shaking his head and dipping his quill in ink. He wrote something on the spare parchment. While I'm doing this, bring me this book, will you? He handed Ron the paper, and Ron couldn't help but marvel at how neat his writing was. He was staring at the paper for so long, Blaise smirked. Can you not read, neat Weasel? Blaise asked. Ron was about to snap back when he looked up and saw Blaise's good-natured smile. Ron smiled back with a small eye roll. Ha ha, of course I can. I was just thinking about how Snape will never believe I could write like this. Don't worry, I can make your chicken scratch, Blaise said, biting back a smirk. Ron stuck his tongue out at Blaise before running off to find this book. After about half an hour of searching, Ron found the book, and when he gave it to Blaise. When he returned to the table, he found Blaise sitting in his seat, doing nothing. "Shouldn't you be doing my essay?" Ron asked, handing him the book. He was careful not to touch him in case this touch was still electric. An old spell to cast on yourself, Ron thought. I finished it a while ago," Blaise said with a shrug. Ron stared at him with an open mouth of shock. "How?" Ron asked, and Blaise laughed. "It's not that hard if you actually pay attention in class." Ron stuck his tongue out and picked up the careful folded paper. Blaise had perfectly replicated Ron's writing, or his chicken scratch. Ron smiled at the paper. "Hey, thanks, Blaise. This was really nice of..." Ron picked his eyes up and saw that Blaise had already left. Ron was weirdly disappointed and felt a frown cross his face. Blaise didn't even say goodbye. Ron picked his stuff up and threw his bag over his shoulder. As he was leaving the library, he felt like he was missing something. He pondered it the whole way to the common room. Then he realized that what he was missing. Blaise had kept his quill. Instantly, his smile was back on his face. But for the love of Merlin, he didn't know why. 3 days later, Blaise was reading at the same library table when Ron ran over to him. "Hey, Blaise, guess what?" "So, we're on a first-name basis now?" Blaise asked, not even looking up from his book. "Yeah, sure, Blaise. Now guess," Ron said, barely able to contain his excitement. I'd rather you just tell me, Ron," Blaise said as he continued to read. Ron instantly stopped jumping around when his name left Blaise's lips. He wasn't sure why, but it just felt so right between his lips. Oof. Ugh. Please don't say between his lips, but coming from his lips. Okay, that's just worse. But anyways, someone's up and about, and it's 9:30 at night. Anyways, where was I? Right between his lips. Well, Blaise asked, finally raising his eyes to meet Ron's. Blaise noticed that they were twinkling with excitement, and something else that Blaise recalled seeing in someone else's eyes, but he couldn't remember when. "Oh, yeah, right," Ron said, sitting down next to Blaise. His face was bright red as he rummaged through his bag. "Look at this," Ron said proudly as he threw down a piece of paper. Blaise sighed and picked it up. "A 90 on my on your potions." Oops. "A 90 on your potion essay." Blaise returned the paper to Ron and looked back at his book. "Congratulations." "Really? That's all you have to say?" Ron asked, giving Blaise a ludicrous look. "This is the highest mark I've ever gotten on a potions essay. It's all thanks to you." Blaise couldn't hold back a smile. Ron's joy was infectious. "I told you I could be a blessing," Blaise said, meeting Ron's eye. Ron laughed. "That you are. Seriously, thanks for this. I gotta run," Ron said. He shoved his essay back in his bag. As he passed Blaise, he patted his shoulder. "See you around, man." With that, he walked off, leaving a very smiley Blaise behind him. "Since when are you friends with Ron?" Pansy asked, sitting down next to Blaise. "What?" he asked, looking up from his book. "I wouldn't say we're friends exactly." "I would," Pansy said, kicking her feet onto the table. "Really?" Blaise could feel a blush rise onto his cheeks, but he wasn't sure why. Thank Merlin for his dark complexion. He looked over at Pansy and saw a devious smirk on her face. "Oh no, what are you thinking, Pans?" he asked her weirdly. Her smirk just grew. "You just gave me a great conversation starter with Granger," Pansy said proudly before jumping up. "Enjoy your book," she said sweetly before walking away. I should stop her, Blaise thought, before settling in to read his book with no more interruptions to get in his way. Alright, y'all, this is stupidity in its finest form, but you know I have 3% battery. Oh my gosh, I love the author. She's funny. Okay, part 2. "Hey, Granger, wait up," Pansy called out, walking down the hall. Hermione swiveled around, confused. Her eyes landed on Pansy, and she rolled her eyes. "What do you want, Parkinson?" Hermione said, crossing her arms. Pansy smirked as she strolled to a stop beside Hermione. "No need to get hostile there, G." Hermione made a face. "I have places to be, Parkinsons, so if you could just hurry along," Hermione asked in a fake sweet voice. Pansy shot her a look. "You take the fun out of everything," Pansy protested with a pout. Hermione held back an eye roll. "All right, fine, princess," Pansy said with a huff. "It has come to my attention that a certain friend of yours has a crush on a red-haired weasel you and Scarface keep as a pet." Hermione cocked an eyebrow. "Well, you can tell her Ron isn't interested." "What if I told you it wasn't a her?" Hermione looked surprised and then smiled a split second. "May I ask who this boy is?" she asked, her face not showing the excitement in her eyes. "She's fucking cute," Pansy thought, smiling at Hermione. "Right, she asked me something." Pansy coughed and shrugged. "Well, he's not out yet. I'm not sure if he'd want that. I think you'd tell. It's just, I totally get it," Hermione said, interrupting with a small smile gracing her features. "Just like I couldn't tell if Ron was even interested in, well, any boy out there." "Right, of course, Granger. Of course. We're still totally getting them together, though, right?" "Of course, Parkinson," Hermione said with a wink, and Parkinson smiled, a very rare sight. Hermione breath caught. "Gosh, she's beautiful. It's a shame she's straight. I actually want to fucking kiss her." "No, you can't think of Parkinson's like that, Miney. She hates you. She's really only thinking She's only talking to you because Blaise likes Ron. Wait, she knows it's Blaise? Wait, what? She didn't even say it was Blaise. What did I do? Oh, something. Oh, my headphones hit the plate. But that means she's okay with same-sex couples, so maybe... No, stop it. Just forget about her. Why must she be so perfect all the time? Hermione felt a blush rise to her cheeks and thanked Merlin for her darker complexion. See you later, Granger, Pansy said before walking off the way she came. Once she turned the corner, Hermione leaned against the wall and exhaled. She's gonna be the death of me. Hey, Ron, Hermione asked, sitting down beside the redhead. Mm-hmm, Ron hummed in response, staring at a small piece of parchment. Hermione couldn't see the neat printing scratched on it in the elegant form of the book title. Instead, she saw a lovesick boy staring at some paper. Now that me and Harry know that you're well, bye, Hermione began, cautiously as Ron slowly raised his eyes to meet hers. Having second thoughts about accepting me? Ron joking, but Hermione could hear the slight shake in his voice. Hermione laughed. Of course not. In fact, I want to help you set you up. Ron relaxed for a moment before shooting up. You want to do what? He asked in disbelief. Set you up, like on a date? With who? Hermione smirked, and Ron instantly regretted asking. Blaise, she said proudly, and snickered as Ron's face instantly turned red. You wanna... with Blaise? He wouldn't. He isn't. How'd you figure out that I liked him? He's like, you're joking, and then he's like, oh shit, she knows. Ron asked, his face hidden in his hands. Hermione just smiled at him and patted his back comfortingly. You were awful at hiding it. Ron sighed and leaned back in his chair. Do you think he knows then? Not yet, but I think you should tell him. Ron shook his head dejectedly. He'd hate me. I doubt that. He'd reject me. Why do you say that? Well, for starters, he's straight. I have information from a very reliable source saying that he's not. For a brief moment, Ron looked hopeful, but then he remembered his second point. Well, even if he was into guys, why would he go for me? He's smart, funny, and kind, and so motherfucking hot. Like, are you shitting me? How is one so hot without combusting like good Merlin? Ron's whole face instantly turned even redder. He turned towards Hermione. I never said that, he whispered gravely. She laughed and nodded. Okay, but aren't these all good things? Hermione asked him. Ron leaned back again. They're all good things, amazing qualities that he possesses, and I'm just me. Ronald Bilious Weasley. Don't you ever say that, Hermione hissed, anger rising in her voice. You're every bit as good as Blaise, if not better. You need to stop looking down on yourself." Ron sighed. "I guess you're right, Hermione. No surprise there." Ron looked at Hermione and smirked. "So, what's the plan?" Okay. Sorry, a video played right when I was talking. "Good afternoon, class," Professor Slughorn called out, sauntering into class late again. "Today we are making a very special potion. Can anyone take a guess what it is?" As usual, Hermione was the one with her hand in the air. She's so fucking smart. She'd never go for someone like me, Pansy thought dejectedly. Blaise nudged her with his elbow. "Stop staring, Pans," Blaise whispered. You're one to talk." Slughorn sighed. "Yes, Miss Granger." Okay. Amortentia, sir. Correct, Miss Granger. 5 points to Gryffindor. Slughorn heaved a large cauldron onto his desk and adjusted the lid on its top. "In here I have a perfectly brewed batch of Amortentia, whipped up by yours truly." He looked around as if expecting applause, but gave up on the idea quickly. Just form a line and don't eat any," Slughorn said, plopping down in his chair. "I wonder what it'll smell like," Ron whispered to Hermione as they walked up to join the line. "As if you don't know," said Harry, sliding up to Ron's other side. Ron feigned a confused face. "Mate, I sleep one bed away." I'm sorry. Okay. "As if you don't know," said Harry, sliding up to Ron's other side. Ron feigned a confused face. "Mate, I sleep one bed away." "Oh, Blaise, harder." "I'm sorry, I did not know this would, get into it, Harder, ooh." Harry moaned before Ron slapped his hand over Harry's mouth. His face turned the same color as his hair. "A little louder, will you? I don't think Dumbledore heard you," Ron hissed, looking around, his face still ablaze. "Hey." No pun intended. Harry slapped his hand away, smirking. Hermione was holding back her laughter. Ron looked at his two best friends and shook his head. "I hate both of you," Ron muttered. Harry placed his hand over his heart. "Oh no," Harry began, looking hurt. "Did Blaise replace us?" I would love that Blaise heard every single word that they said, and it was just like, what the fuck do I do now? and his smirk was was back in place. This time, Hermione couldn't hold in her laughter. Twats! Don't you mean pricks? Fuck. These jokes got me coughing. Harry interjected, barely dodging Ron's hand as he took a swing at Harry's head. Harry stepped behind Hermione and stuck his tongue out at Ron from over his shoulder. Ron huffed and spun around to find that he was in front of the cauldron. Ron leaned over it and inhaled. He was instantly consumed by the wonderful smells of his mom's homemade fudge, smoke from the blazing fire. Another pun. And mint pine needles and fresh baked cookies. Ron gasped and jerked his head aback. Amortentia to Ron smelled like his home and like Blaise. Ron was completely whipped. Wait, what? Hermione's plan better work. Ron walked back to his seat and placed his red face in his arms. Just as Hermione was walking up to the cauldron, she leaned over and took a deep breath. She met with some smells she expected. Old books, new ink, but also a smell she didn't recognize. It was a sharp and sweet, probably a perfume, but it wasn't overwhelming. It was a smell Hermione actually quite enjoyed, but she hated not knowing where or who it was from. She moved her head and walked back to her seat beside Ron. She pulled out her quill and ink and parchment and started writing down where she could have smelt it before. Once Hermione walked away, it was Harry's turn to smell the Amortentia. He was just about to step forward when a girl stepped in front of him. He instantly recognized it was Mary Jane Smith. He said, "Hey, MJ," he said, stepping back, letting her cut in front of him. "Hey, Harry, sorry for cutting. I really need to check something, though. You don't mind, do you?" "Not at all, but what do you need to check?" "Well, you know that's romantic, right?" she said, leaning over the cauldron. Harry looked at her dumbly. "Well, Ellie said that would cause me not to smell anything." She continued to talking as she took a deep breath, then realized her head smirking. "What?" Then she raised her head, smirking. "I told her she was wrong, 'cause I can still feel love. Just have no desire for a relationship." Mary Jane shot Harry a satisfying smile. "I was right. Thanks for letting me cut, Harry." "Anytime, MJ," Harry mumbled, still confused by what Mary Jane had said. "Bye," he called to her, retreating back. She brought her hand up and slightly waved without turning around. "Would you hurry up, Potter?" a voice drawled out behind him. Harry sighed and turned to face Draco. He was instantly hit with a wave of his cologne and hair gel, and a sickening combination. Harry gagged. "Merlin's beard, Malfoy. Did you bathe in cologne this morning?" Draco just rolled his eyes. "At least I bathe. You still reek of dirt and sweat from your Quidditch practice this morning. Stalking me now, are you, Malfoy. Sort of, Potter." Harry rolled his eyes at Draco, who simply looked at him with a bored expression. His eyes look really nice today. His like pale blue pieces of ice. Merlin's hairy balls. This thing is killing me. I did not get enough sleep last night. Harry shook these thoughts from his head and walked up to the cauldron. He leaned over and inhaled. "Even this, my head in this pot, can still smell that stupid Malfoy's cologne. He really needs to wear less of that." Harry tried to focus more on the other smells. He could smell broom polish and fresh air from the rainstorm. Malfoy's stupid hair gel scent had also wormed its way up Harry's nose and was lingering in the potion. But underneath was Molly's fresh baked cookies. She must make some dang good cookies because more than one person likes them. Harry straightened up and walked back to his friends, one of whom was hiding his very red face in his arms, and the other, who had Pansy's name written on some paper, was staring at it like it was a complex puzzle. Harry opened his mouth to ask, but thought better of it, and took a seat silently, the three of them contemplating the smells of the potion. Okay. Go away. Go away. You're a video I don't want. Go away. Go away. Sorry, this is what I do when I'm trying to like record something and a thing pops up. I'm like, go away, please. Please. I beg you, please go away. Okay, here we go. Draco rolled his eyes and turned to face his friends. Stupid Potter, with his broomstick and his scar. We all know he'd like to see Harry's broomstick, Pansy whispered, standing on her tippy toes to reach Blaise's ear. Draco's eyes narrowed as Blaise and Pansy started laughing. "You can both suck a dick," Draco huffed as he twirled around to face the cauldron. "I bet he would like to suck a dick." Oh my gosh. I need to be in this universe. They like roast each other so good. It's just amazing. And the puns though. He leaned in and the first thing he noticed was that stupid Potter's stench was still lingering around in the air. Just another reminder of the boy he could never, ever have. Oh my gosh. So this is like the story of all the stuff in here. Now we just need Ginny X Luna. I should read one of those. Draco shook his head and tried to smell past the intoxicating scent of Harry. Beneath the smells of dirt, sweat, and sweets, he could make out the perfume that his mom always wore. He could smell the musty book pages from his father's study that he would read out in the sunshine. With a small smile on his face, Draco turned to walk back to his seat. When he turned, his eyes landed on that certain scar head. His gaze lingered for a second too long apparently, because Harry's eyes shot up, his face contorted into one of those unrecognizable emotion. Draco's smile intensely dropped, and he felt his face turn red, and quickly hurried back to his seat. However, the emotion that Draco found was unrecognizable was one of the pure adoration. Draco couldn't tell how Harry's heart dropped into his stomach when he saw Draco's soft smile, nor could he sense the tug on Harry's pants when Draco started to blush. Blaise and Pansy. No, Pansy. No, Pansy. Oh my gosh, she has two names I feel bad about. Parkinson's and Pansy. Whew, I didn't think of that before. I just thought of her last name being sad. Okay. Blaise and Pansy. Sorry, I had an itch on my nose. Both sighed at their obvious friend. "You're up, Pans," Blaise said, nudging her shoulder. Pansy smirked at him and walked up to the cauldron. She leaned over and sniffed. The first thing she smelt was honeydukes. Pansy smiled at the memories of her little sister carrying around the armfuls of honeydukes candles. I really miss talking to her. The next few smells were also expected. The perfume her mom bought her from France, her dad's homemade lemon bars, the musty smell of old books that no one has read in decades. But underneath all that, there was another smell, a faint yet strong, sweet smell. It smelt faintly of strawberries. It was familiar yet completely foreign. It's probably nothing, Pansy thought. Walking back to her seat, she couldn't help but spare a glance at the bushy-haired angel tapping her quill on a seemingly blank piece of parchment. "Mr. Zubini, it seems you're the last one up. Chop, chop, boy. I don't have all day." Professor Slughorn clacked, snapping Blaise out of his daydream. "Right. Sorry, sir," Blaise said hurriedly. He strolled forward and stuck his head in the pot. The smell was intoxicating. He could smell the mint body wash his little sister got him for his birthday. And the smell of pine from when he and his brother would always climb the tree in his his backyard. He could smell his mother's cooking and the musty scent of the Slytherin common room. He could also smell the strong scent of fire smoke and the Quidditch pitch after a rainstorm. The scent that always hung to one Ron Weasley. Blaise gasped and took a step back. He was in deeper than he thought. As Blaise walked back to his table, he couldn't help but spare a glance at Ron. His heart leapt in his throat when he saw Ron was looking back at him. A blush crept on Ron's face as he looked away hurriedly. If that isn't the cutest fucking thing I've ever seen, Blaise thought as he sat down beside Pansy. "Hey, Bee," Pansy whispered, breaking his trance. "Yeah, Pans? Can you meet me tonight at the hall between charms and Muggle studies?" "Why can't we meet in the common room or something? I don't want to be overheard." "Do I really have to close? Do I have to cross half the school, though?" "It'll be worth it." Blaise sighed. "It better be. As long as Weasel doesn't fuck it up." Pansy thought, sparing a glance at the redhead boy who was trying to inconspicuously look over at. Sorry, I'm trying to read this and I can't. Blaise. Hermione caught Pansy's eyes and smirked at her. Pansy returned this action. "This better work. I guess we'll find out tonight. For better or for worse. Slughorn spared a glance at his clock and sighed. All right, class is dismissed. Read pages 134 to 137 for homework tonight, he said, already walking out of the door. What an inspiration, Harry said seriously. Ron nodded solemnly, and they both saluted the door before breaking down in a fit of laughter. Idiots! Hermione thought fondly as she followed them out of the room, suppressing a smile. Riveting stuff, I know. Oh wait, that's the author's note. Oh my fuck. Okay. And you're sure this is going to work? Hermione asked for the millionth time. She was tapping her fingers against her thigh as she glanced around the hallway. Pansy found it incredibly cute and very distracting. Yes, Granger, as long as that weasel of yours follows the plan. Ron is perfectly competent most of the time. Pansy snorted and Hermione blushed. Pansy looked at Hermione's tapping hand and sighed. I have to distract her. Tell me how this cabinet works. Hermione sighed. Again. Pansy nodded. Very well. If two people with romantic feelings for each other enter the cabinet of desire, they will be locked in there till they sort out their feelings. So until they kiss. Hermione gave Pansy a brief look of amusement. More or less. I wouldn't object going in there with you, Pansy thought. What are you blushing at? Hermione asked, nudging her arm. Pansy could have sworn she heard a hit of jealousy in Hermione's voice. You're just imagining it. Hermione wouldn't be jealous. Thinking about being in there with your crush? Pansy blushed even more at that. What? No, I was just, Pansy stuttered. Hermione laughed. She seemed like she was about to continue when Ron turned the corner. Hey guys, Ron said. His voice sounded kind of stern and nervous. Hermione shot him a sympathetic look. It's gonna be fine, Ron. Tell me the plan again, Hermione said soothingly, using the same distraction technique that Pansy used on her. Blaise stands here for a while. Then, when he gets frustrated and leaves, I turn that corner. Running into him, I invite him on a walk. When Pansy interrupted with a smirk. Ron rolled his eyes. He accepts. I take him down the corridor with the dresser. Cabinet. Hermione interrupted with a smirk, identical to Pansy's. Ron glared. I trip into him, pushing us into the cabinet, and then it locks behind us till we sort out our feelings, and that only happens if he replicates my feelings, which he does, both of Hermione and Pansy says. Ron huffs, crossing his arms. Don't you two have to be making out somewhere right now? Pansy turned bright red. Ron! Hermione hissed. Her blush was harder to see under her darker complexion, but it was there nonetheless. Well, you took our make-out spot, so... Pansy teased. Ron started to mime gagging. Pansy, Hermione whispered, sounding aspirated. You're already like an old married couple, Ron cooed. Don't you have a man to be in prison? Pansy said, crossing her arms. Sod off, Ron stated. Yet he marched across the hall to his hiding spot. Pansy heard a tapping sound and looked over to see Hermione tapping her leg again. Do you think it'll work? Pansy reached over and took Hermione's hand, just to stop that insolent tapping, of course. Of course it will. You made it up. Oh, come on, you did most of it, Hermione said, almost shyly, looking at her interlaced hands. Come on, whispered Pansy, pulling Hermione gently along. Let's get to our hiding spot. Their hiding spot, of course, was just down the hall, a bit where Draco and Harry were hiding. Pansy snatched the cloak off the two boys, stumbling apart, looking slightly guilty and disheveled. Both of their lips were swollen and red. Harry coughed awkwardly. Took you long enough? Is it almost time? Draco asked excitedly, bouncing on the balls of his feet. He looked so happy and cute. Harry almost cooed at the sight of him. I wish I could make sure he's always this happy. Almost. Let's get in position. Pansy whispered back, just as excited. Fuck, she's cute. When she's excited, Hermione thought, smiling softly at her. Yeah, let's. Harry agreed, grabbing the cloak off the ground. The four of them huddled under the cloak, and Draco grasped Harry's hand due to excitement, possibly to his lower region. Harry didn't object. Hermione and Pansy had not let go of each other's hands yet either. After 3 minutes of waiting, they all collectively inhaled as Blaise turned the corner. Hello? I would lose my shit. Oh. This is me and my friends. Oh shit. Like, we would all have, like, you know, like, when you're, okay, I wouldn't say this, but your butt, like, squeezes, like, all of a sudden, like, tightens, because you're, like, oh my gosh, no, oh my god, like, you have that cold butthole moment, like, you're in trouble moment. Yeah, I've had really bad experiences with that, but I mean, duh. So that's pretty much what the moment is like when you, like, nothing's getting past these buns of steel. It happens to me too often, I guess. I don't know how, but wait a minute, they haven't posted. Please post more because it's getting good. They haven't posted in a while. Please come and contact this author immediately. So you have the picture. It's on Wattpad. I always use things from Wattpad. Go call them, text them. I don't care. Go contact them. Tell them what you think. Just say that Queen Nightmare sent you. Just do a hashtag, do anything. Just let me know if they said anything. If they're actually a fan, please contact me. This is amazing. I really like it. You know, you have that aching feeling, like the butthole. Oh my gosh, it's almost 55 minutes. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. Okay, I have to let you guys go. I'm so sorry it's been so long. But you guys wanted more, and someone requested a Blaise X Ron story, and there was like 50 parts, and this is the only story that was really, really short. Yeah, you understand how I meant by short. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and and subscribe. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do that. Push notifications so you're notified every time I post.